with Robert Morris. And this is a matchup won by Wagner a little over a week ago in Staten Island, New York. And if you're St. Francis, you can't expect to win the league and get swept by a team you'll be competing with for that top spot. The tip controlled by St. Francis. And you see your starting five: King, Gaskins, Braxton. Wolford is one of the best three-point shooters in all of college basketball. He's wearing number 14 in gray. There's Gaskins. He was working on that shot in practice earlier today in shoot-around, and Gaskins connects early.
St. Francis worked hard last night on playing inside-out basketball. Braxton got it inside. Gaskins got it outside. That's a really good mix and match of talent for Rob Krimmel early in this game.
And really a turnover for Wagner. This was a matchup a little over a week ago that Wagner trailed by 7 at the half and won the game by 9. Went on a big run there early in that second half back in Staten Island. So Wagner looking for a repeat, but not necessarily of the first half.
Keep your eye on number 10, Joe Cooper, who has the ball right now. He is the best dribble penetration guy for the black jerseyed Wagner group.
And Sanders flicked that inside to A.J. Sunbury, who is called for some steps. Marky mentioned it before the game. You've got the best offensive team in the conference in St. Francis, the best defensive team in the conference in Wagner. I'll coin the phrase now: something's got to give.
Yeah, if this becomes an 80-point game, advantage to St. Francis. If it's a 65-point game, advantage to Wagner.
St. Francis averages 82 points a game. Wagner gives up fewer than 68 points a game, and because of defensive plays like that, A.J. Sunbury with the rejection, he leads the conference in block shots, more than 2 a game. He's got 1.
And look at the angle he takes to the rim that forces the ball to go to the backside of the rim. Really good shot blocker. Number 4 for Wagner, A.J. Sunbury.
Wolford finds Jamal King, who can't connect. And tipped out by Sunbury. Ramon Saunders for 3.
That's exactly what St. Francis does not want to see. That's where Wagner is at their best. Full court, 94-foot basketball where they spread the half-court set. Really effective.
Davidas Kazumas looking for some help and finds it in Keith Braxton. Keith Braxton's been dealing with an ankle sprain. The folks here at St. Francis told us that. It was not known by anyone else outside of the program that he dealt with that in the loss to Wagner. So you've got Keith Braxton healthy, 100% here. And you also have Wagner playing with Blake Francis here tonight. Although he's not on the floor yet. Big number 3, the guard for Wagner. Saunders misfires from there. Well, here's St. Francis with a 4-3 lead early.
Keep an eye on Keith Braxton, number 13. I like when he goes inside, they invert their offense. He can play inside and outside.
Jamal King finding some space. He could go off at any moment. Had a career-high 31 about a week and a half ago against Mount St. Mary's. And in that game only went 3 of 13 from 3. He can fill it up.
The leading scorer in conference play, nearly 22 points a game.
And that one picked off by Keith Braxton. Braxton a little out of control, and that one going the other way. For St. Francis, Rob Krimmel, the head coach in his 6th year as the head coach at his alma mater. He was a former point guard for the Red Flash from 96 to 2000. Hit 63s in his final season. Joined the coaching staff right away, straight out of school. Was actually hired by his father, Robert, who was the athletic director at the time, and he's really brought this program back.
In one word, improvement.
Year after year. Chase Freeman can't connect. Here comes the Red Flash. Gaskins misfires. Wolford attempting to follow slam. And for Wagner, Bashir Mason also in his 6th year as a head coach. 6th youngest head coach in all of Division I. He turns 34 years old coming up on February 11th. So we'll be sure to give him a card on our way out in lieu of our presence.
In his first season, he led Wagner to a postseason victory over St. Bonaventure in the first round of the NIT. St. Bonaventure was the #1 seed in that game.
Freeman short. Sunbury no. Saunders yes. And it looks like they're counting the basket, or was that foul?
The official didn't give the mechanics of a made basket. But I saw him, if I read his lips right, he said to the other official, basket good.
Well, we'll call it 6-5 St. Francis. Just underway here. Matt Schick, Mark Adams on the campus of St. Francis University in Loretto, Pennsylvania. And that'll be a foul on the floor. And we are reaching the under 16 here in Loretto.
Guard matchup. Trae Young, Oklahoma knocks off Kansas earlier this week. Colin Sexton, if you haven't seen him of Alabama, he is, in a word, special. I mean, this is like Westbrook going up against Curry at the collegiate level. You've got to watch that game. A tremendous matchup. And by the way, both coaches are 2 former NBA guys coaching those teams.
That's right. And when you look at Colin Sexton, again, he's been dealing with a little bit of an abdominal issue, a core issue. I hope he's 100% for that matchup coming up tomorrow. This is Chase Freeman making his 3rd consecutive start, and the lay-in by Devin Liggins on the follow.
You know, Wagner does such a good job of manufacturing hustle points on the offensive glass in their full-court pressure package where they get turnovers and turn into points. They're not a great half-court offensive team, but they're good at manufacturing points with their defense and hustle.
You saw that in the second half of these two teams' last matchup at Staten Island, where Wagner was getting a lot of points in transition. King was way off there. As Wagner with their first lead of the early going. Saunders with his 2nd 3 of the night.
That's a good example of Wagner offensive basketball, where they push pace, they get dribble penetration before the defense gets set, and they get an early shot. That's when they're at their best.
Wagner had a 20-0 run in the second half of their last matchup, then got an 8-0 run right now as King can't connect, and we've got a foul. That'll be on Davidas Kuzavas, number 30, the 6'10 sophomore, on the reach.
Watch this drive. Now watch Jamal King as he comes in the paint. See how he doesn't go right to the sternum of the shot blocker? You can't fade on Sunbury. You've got to go right to his sternum. That's how you draw contact. That's how you get the free throw line. Shot blockers want you to fade.
Don't allow him to block the shot. Force him to foul you if he's going to. Or at least make that decision. 11-6 early here with Wagner. Saunders can't find it. Here's St. Francis.
Great defensive transition from Wagner.
Here's Wolford, and he is the 2nd best 3-point shooter in all of the NCAA Division I. 50%, better than 50% from 3, and he connects early.
If you don't believe us, ask Mike Krzyzewski. He'll define it real well for you, how great a shooter Wolford is.
Blake Francis says, I'm pretty good myself. Hits that one from long range. He leads the team in scoring, 3rd in the conference in scoring. And again, did not play the last time these two teams faced one another. So not sure how much you could take out of the last matchup when your leading scorer is not in the game. And you look here, Wolford, you've got to have a hand in his face, even 4 feet beyond the arc.
Yeah, he has such tremendous range. And when he played against Duke, he caught Mike Krzyzewski's eye. Krzyzewski went on in his press conference for minutes talking about the shooting ability of Andre Wolford. Only a walk-on, but a guy that has really blossomed into a tremendous player here for the Red Flash.
There you see him, Andre Wolford, again, 2nd in all of NCAA Division I in 3-point shooting. better than 50% from three. Red Flash also top 10 free throw shooting team. And Keith Braxton goes 1 for 2.
The whole key is take away dribble penetration and force the contested shot. That time it goes down again for Blake Francis. A second time he hits a shot with a hand in his face.
Blake Francis making up for that lost game that he had when he didn't play against St. Francis earlier. Their biggest lead, they're up 7.
Wagner out-toughing St. Francis early, just more physical, more aggressive on the defensive end.
5 on the shot clock for St. Francis. Do they know it? 1 on the shot clock, and they're not going to get a shot off. Wagner, the best defensive team in this league, showing why there, but also a little lack of self-awareness there for St. Francis.
Yeah, Wagner can lock you down. If you can't get by them off the dribble, then Rob Krimmel has some real problems with that stingy, nasty defense of Wagner right now. You got to get ball movement, you got to get spacing, and then you got to be able to get into gaps.
Ask Bashir Mason, what's going well for you in the opening minutes of a game if things are going well? Is it defense, toughness, rebounding, staying connected? And they're doing that right now. And offensively, they ain't too bad either. Saunders with his 3rd free of these opening 8 minutes. And Rob Krimmel wants a timeout. Has being a part of St. Francis, your hometown team, a team you've rooted for all your life. What's this relationship meant to you?
It's a brotherhood. It's you know, we take care of each other when we need it, and you know, I help them out, they help me out.
Jordan, you've been an inspirational coach for this basketball team. What did you tell the Red Flash prior to the game?
I said, you know, believe, do your best. Don't let them see you sweat. Don't let them see that you're tired. And to believe in yourselves. And I think they need more of that right now.
I don't think there's any doubt about it with a 10-point deficit. If you could get a hold of them in the huddle right now, or if you want to analyze what you're seeing here, what do they need to do better?
They need to, well, I think that previous play when DK had the ball and dribbled it down instead of one of the smaller guys, I think he should have walked down and jammed it for a slam dunk.
I mean,
but that's good advice.
Well,
that's good coaching right there.
You should be a coach.
Jordan, that's good coaching. So, Jay Money, your mantra is believe in your personal life and now in your professional life, really, as a coach for this program in many ways. Why believe?
Well, it's gotten me through a lot. It's gotten me through sickness. It's gotten me through pain. It's gotten me through everything. So it's gotten me, you know, through a lot. So,
through everything.
Yep.
Through everything.
And St. Francis in a little bit of trouble here as Blake Francis connects on another one, and Wagner with a 12-point lead. For those who don't know, your story is well documented as you became a part of this program a few years ago. You were born with Larson syndrome, which inhibits bone development and impacts your connective tissue.
Yes.
You were on a ventilator for about 5 years, beginning at the age of 3. Doctors said you'd never be able to hold your neck up.
Yep.
That was a big part of it. Said you'd never be able to breathe on your own.
Yes.
You've done both.
Yep.
How have you done that?
Through believing. It's as simple as that. Just believe.
So, Jordan, obviously, you've been an inspiration before the game. You've got access to everybody. You're a rock star here at Bishop Guilfoyle High School. You also work with the football team. But I'm curious about now, as a 16-year-old, you have college plans to go to St. Francis.
I do.
What do you want to do professionally in the future of your life?
I want to come up here to St. Francis and to be a bioengineer.
Bioengineer. So explain to me what you want to do as a bioengineer.
A bioengineer, I would do things like make limbs for wounded vets or people with paralysis to be able to walk or to like use their hands or stand up or something like that. So that's what I want to do.
But before we let you go, I want to personally thank you for coming on with us, first of all, but I also want to thank your family. So I'm sitting here looking right through you to your father right now, who's an Army vet. I know that you are a military family. You've got a brother that's in the Marine Corps, sister as well in the Army. God bless your family, and thank you and your entire family for your service to this great country.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Jordan McClure, appreciate it. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
J-Money. How good is that, huh?
J-Money was money. Here, future student here at St. Francis. An 11-point lead.
Great job.
Here for
Great
Wagner.
job.
As Jordan McClure, again, a great family. You mentioned it. Sister in the Army, brother in the Marine Corps.
Yep.
Mother went to school here. There's so many connections, the family connections. And your son was just deployed as well. So this is, just things coming together in the way that you must feel as you kind of identify with what their family has experienced in many ways as well.
Military families really feel a connection. And my son is in Anchorage, Alaska right now.
Just
headed to
today.
Korea. Yeah, just landed a few minutes ago. He just texted me before we went on the air. And, of course, J-Money, how great is Jordan McClure? What an honor it was for us to sit here and visit with a 16-year-old that is far more mature and far more wise than either one of us will ever be.
There is no doubt about that as Mark Flagg says, get it out of here. The freshman out of Pennsbury High School, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, here in the state. And he is a true freshman who really had a coming-out party against Wagner a week and a half ago with 18 points off the bench.
We talked about Rob Crimmel's ability to improve the St. Francis program, and Mark Flagg is the key component to the continued improvement for the Red Flash here in Loretto, Pennsylvania, which, by the way, I kind of like this town. Now, there's not a lot to eat here, I'll say that. But I dropped by the St. Michael the Archangel Basilica today. Holy Toledo. Went by and saw Maurice Stokes, his gravesite today. This is a wonderful campus and a great community.
And I call Cooper for the steps. Just a lot of tradition, a lot of history that is here. And even some people, I've got family here in the state, they say, I'm going to St. Francis. And some people don't know it's here. Like, where are you going? Where's Loretto? And small town, small enrollment, but a close-knit family. And you've got Coach Krimmel, who played here. You've got assistant coaches who played here and are now on staff as well. So the ties run deep here at St. Francis. And right now they're a little bit of deep trouble. A 10-point lead, deficit, I should say, with less than 10 minutes to go here in this first half. And another turnover here for St. Francis.
Well, remember, Bashir Mason was an assistant to Danny Hurley. And Danny Hurley, one of the great defensive technicians in the game. Of course, the son of Bob Hurley, legendary Hall of Fame high school basketball coach. And this team really plays gritty man-to-man defense.
And that defense from Malik Harmon a little too firm on JoJo Cooper for Wagner. And again, there you see Bashir Mason played at Drexel, had a buzzer beater of his own, which we hope to show you a little bit later on. And was an assistant coach under Danny Hurley, not only at Wagner, but also at St. Benedict's in high school. And right now, another bucket, Wagner with a double-digit 12-point lead.
How would you like to start your career in your first year with an NIT victory, and then your second year go to Storrs, Connecticut, and beat UConn? That's a pretty good start to your career.
Again, 6-5 on the shot clock now. St. Francis not getting into its offense. That's Keith Braxton, whose shot is deflected at the other end. Saunders, no. And that one goes out of bounds, and that will go back to the Red Flash. And again, these shot clocks continue to wind down without St. Francis getting into anything. What do you do? What's different?
Well, first of all, let's credit Wagner's defensive footwork. I want you to watch this defensive possession closely. Just watch the black jerseys, how they seem to be connected as a 5-man unit. Watch how they get in the stance, how wide they get, and they take away dribble penetration. For St. Francis, it's about getting movement, ball side to backside, and then exposing the defensive gaps. They've got to do a better job of ball movement, because every time the ball stalls, it's Wagner's advantage.
And Wagner has had the advantage throughout most of this first half, doubling up St. Francis early, 24-12.
Watch the black jerseys. Watch how they move together. Switch off screens. They stay wide. They stand. Look at the backside line right there. They're all in a stance. They're all in perfect position with vision to the ball, and they all react, and they challenge every shot.
They had to work for that one, but Keith Braxton with his second field goal of the day, this one from 3.
St. Francis did a better job of ball movement and forcing the switches and then taking the ball inside, outside. That was a good offensive possession. The best of the first half for St. Francis.
Jack Scott no good, and here comes the red flash.
Here's the other key, Matt. They've got to beat this defense down the floor to get some good looks like that.
Any shot from Andre Wolford is a good look.
That's exactly right.
You may say, well, he's guarded. Well, that's too far. Second best three-point shooter in the NCAA.
Yeah, this dude can shoot it from Altoona.
Nice play there from JoJo Cooper. That one counts. From Cooper, leads the conference in assists, but has stepped up his scores.
You know, they can put the ball on the floor, and having a shooter like that out there helps them immensely. You know, I've watched a number of their games. I mean, he did that. You know, he's not that tall in that, but boy, when he shoots, boom, that sucker goes in.
And he hit 3 of those against Duke and Coach K. They lost the game, but Coach K certainly respects the ability. When you get Coach K saying those type of words about you, that'll make you feel good.
Well, and he was a walk-on.
Yeah.
He's a no-time walk-on freshman. As a sophomore, he got an opportunity against Jacksonville State. And when he went off in that game, they finally offered him a scholarship. I mean, this was a no-time walk-on freshman that's now developed the second best shooter in America right now.
Coach Krimmel saying he's just followed the process, followed the formula, and as good a kid as you will find. But right now, Wagner is as hot a team as you will find. Blake Francis hits the bucket, and he's got 10. He got 2 in double figures right now for Wagner. Saunders has 13. Francis has 10 on St. Francis.
See how the ball stalls? That allows every black jersey to stand, get set, and defend. Stalls again.
They are not feeling comfortable offensively right now as Braxton misfires.
Look how the ball moves there.
Corner 3.
Here's where you got to push.
Kuzamas.
Got to push it, get ball reversals right away.
They heard you. They got a foul. Not allowing Wagner to get set defensively. Push the pace, press the issue.
You know, once upon a time in old school basketball, Matt, you'd say you got to beat the zone down the floor. Now with a lot of the pack line defense, now Wagner comes out and defends. But you literally got to beat them down the floor to get a good look at the basket. Otherwise, you got to deal with 5 nasty black jerseys looking down your nostrils, pressuring the basketball, and that's no fun.
That doesn't sound fun. Jamal King for the free throw.
We'll try it right now.
No, please, no cameras here courtside, please. It's a good sign seeing Jamal King, one of the best free throw shooters in this league. Connects on both. 9-point deficit. St. Francis, no concerns about setting a new low for the first half this season. They had 21 in the first half against Central Connecticut State back in late December. Nice move under the hoop from A.J. Sumbry.
Well, Elijah Davis was able to get into the gap. 2-foot jump stop. That's a big dude. Really did a nice job. 6'4", big, strong guy inside. that makes plays off the dribble.
All 5 guys on the outside right now for St. Francis, and Mark Flagg, that might not be his shot. Down the floor, though, defensively makes the play.
Mark Flagg's going to be a really good player for the Red Flash of St. Francis. Number 42.
So JoJo Cooper initiate that loose ball, and it will be a jump ball, and the possession arrow going to Wagner. JoJo Cooper, he can score the basketball. He can also defend. 3rd in the conference in steals, 2nd in assist to turnover ratio. And Sumbry can do it defensively. He's showing some offensive flashes as well.
No, the thing that A.J. Sumbry does well offensively, he's another guy that can manufacture points off the offensive glass. But it sounds simple, but you want big guys that step to the open wood. That's all you got to do. So many big guys just stand and watch. He moves to the open wood.
Keith Braxton with the intercept. Nearly a turnover back the other way. And that turnover initiated by the long arms of Sumbry, who forced the bad pass. Here's Wagner. And that foul is going to be on the floor. And that one on number 14, Andre Wolford.
You know, Wagner this season is undefeated at home. They have 3 away wins. I'm a little surprised they're only 3-6. Of course, a lot of those were bye games out of conference. Because this is a team, they defend so well, they rebound so well, they've got good, solid guard play. This is a team that if they can get out of the Northeast Conference, and there's a long way to go, and a long way to go in this game as well. But just my initial reaction to this team as far as how they defend, they're stingy defensively, they block shots, they get offensive rebounds. They do a lot of little things that can give a big money program a lot of problems in the NCAA tournament.
That's the question when you get in the postseason, and they always talk about it's about matchups. What about their defense makes them such a defensive, tough matchup?
Well, and that's what makes them different from the standpoint they are physically mature. Oftentimes you get out-strength and out-athlete against the bigger programs. This team, while they won't have the size to match up, they've got the physical strength to match up and the defensive footwork as well.
And again, another late shot clock, but Jamal King makes that matter irrelevant, at least on that possession. Buries the 3, but St. Francis, time and again, not getting any quality looks, not getting into their sets, and having to get shots off with less than 5 seconds to go on the shot clock. And the drive, and that'll be a foul on Eli Davis. Offensive foul on the junior from the Bronx. But right now, it's Wagner at the time, and the way Rob puts it, he's like, look, I knew I wasn't going to out X and O anybody, but he's established meaningful relationships. He's from the community. He's recruited well, and he's probably selling himself short in the X's and O's.
Well, his dad, Bob, was the swim coach at Penn State, and so Rob had a choice. He could either be on the swim team, and he was very accomplished in both the freestyle and butterfly, or he'd go get a job. That was the choice. Rob decided that swimming was the better gig and really was a very good amateur swimmer here in Pennsylvania.
There's a sink or swim joke in there, and I won't make it. 3 on the shot clock. There's King, and gets bailed out by the foul under the rim. And how do you judge a coach? Well, what was it like when you took over, and what is it like now? Look at the conference record, and that 5-13 conference record. They had no non-conference wins that year. All 5 wins were in league play. This was a brutal program that had success, tradition-rich, but it's so far in the rearview mirror. Right now, it's present day.
11-7 last year, of course, made the Northeast Conference championship game 1 season ago. Didn't quite get to the NCAA tournament, but I got a chance to go in their locker room last night and watch them prepare through video. This is a team that really does believe. And give Jordan McClure all the credit in the world. Rob Krimmel does. He gives Jordan McClure all the credit in the world for how this program has incrementally each year taken a positive step, a positive step, a positive step, because they not only prepare well, but they believe in each other. I saw it in the locker room during practice last night.
That word believe. Jordan McClure was here with us that has permeated the locker room here with St. Francis, and they need a little bit more than belief here. Still down 8, 3 minutes and change to go here in this first half.
Good defense.
And that's Malik Harmon showing that defense on JoJo Cooper. Saunders is having quite the first half. That is his 4th 3, or did they call that a 2? That is a 2, and that's 15 points for Saunders.
He's been averaging 15 for the month of January. He has been on fire. Ramon Sanders, number 11 in black for Wagner.
And a foul on the floor. And that is on A.J. Sumbry again. Saunders feeling it, Mark.
Well, he really is. You know what I love about him is the body control, the balance as he goes up for his jump shots. He's physically strong, lower body and upper body. He goes 6'3", 210. I love his base when he takes off for his jump shot. He's got a good athletic base. He's got a little pogo stick jump right into his jump shot. Athletic, strong, effective. Ramon Saunders.
And we said earlier with J Money, Ramon Saunders, his Twitter handle for Ramon Saunders, Moan Money. Money Moan, I should say. 10-point lead, and JoJo Cooper comes up with it. And he's fouled. And that is foul number 2 on Jamal King. And you see the team foul situation at the bottom of your screen. That is team foul number 8 for St. Francis. And with 2 on King, he'll likely be done for the rest of the first half.
And JoJo Cooper, one of the best parts of this job is that you get to meet players. And this afternoon, we got to meet JoJo Cooper, and we asked him one simple question. Tell us one thing about you that nobody knows. This dude can bowl. He went 222 just a few weeks ago.
He said his coach, Bashir Mason, outdid him by a point a couple of years ago and hasn't let him forget about it.
I'd ask for a rematch if I was JoJo.
I'm sure he has. Coach holds the cards. Sorry, I'm busy. 12-point lead, and it's back down to 10. That's Randall Gaskins with the bucket.
First easy basket of the half. Defensive miscue by Wagner. These are important end of first half possessions for St. Francis. They got to get this thing into single digits.
Ramon Saunders wants the 3 again. And that one is no good.
Look at Flag run.
In transition, Flag with a nice dish to Gaskins. And Mason wants a timeout. St. Francis unable to get anything done in their half court.
Across the country that run the floor, not many sprint it. This freshman at 6'9", 195, he's only going to get bigger, stronger, and better. Huge upside for number 42 for St. Francis, Mark Flag. A runner with vision. I love big guys who can do that.
They thought they could work him in nice and slowly, and then Josh Nebo, their big man from last year, transferred to Texas A&M, and Flag has been counted upon early on here in this season. Rebound miss again, but Shaq Scott is going to be rewarded at the free throw line.
Shaq Scott knows his role. 6'6", quick jumper, offensive glass work. When JoJo Cooper gets into a gap, it forces all the defenders to rotate. Just got burned.
And coming up, NBA action coming up tonight. Houston Rockets taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. That's tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app. It begins with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Wagner with a 9-point lead on St. Francis. And now we're going down to the other end.
So we're going to get James Harden and Anthony Davis. Count me in. Houston Rockets have been on fire. James Harden, the hardest matchup, I think, in the NBA.
Boogie in the brow coming up. That's how they're advertising that one. The Rockets and the Pelicans. the Beard and CP3 take on Boogie and the Brown. Are you okay with that?
I'm good with it, yeah.
I'm somewhat uncomfortable saying that out loud.
Oh, no. I said shizzle on the air last week, so I'm good.
Good
I was going Snoop Dogg on everybody. Yeah. For shizzle.
I would expect nothing else. You look at those free throw numbers, 10th in the NCAA, leading the Northeast Conference in free throw shooting, and that'll help you get back into a game. Now down by 7 with a little over a minute to go here in the first half.
Well, now it's time to believe for St. Francis. You got to dig in and make a defensive stand here.
Less than 10 to go. Cooper out to Freeman. Hit as he shoots and puts that one in. Back up 10.
A freshman. Big shot at the end of the half.
Chase Freeman coming off back-to-back starts. Made his 3rd consecutive start here tonight. Coach Mason says Freeman's going to be a coach one day, and right now showing some defense, but does pick up that foul. And that is on Chase Freeman, his first.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow with a 5 o'clock tip. We're both going to get home. And we get to watch Oklahoma, Alabama in the early game. Kentucky, West Virginia. Listen, you talk about a chip on your shoulder with Kentucky going to West Virginia. That is going to be a tremendous matchup of 2 Hall of Fame coaches, along with some young guards against a very seasoned backcourt for Bob Huggins. I can't wait to watch that game.
Very young Kentucky team going on the road. Game day will be there. That'll be a good one. Red flash down 8. Shot clock at 8. Game clock 14. 5 on the shot clock. Cooper drives, scoop, roll. Three on the clock, and Cooper, no, this one's going the other way. Malik Harmon called for the offensive foul with 3 seconds left.
And watch number 10, JoJo Cooper. They'll try to give it back to him. 3.4 to go. He's the guy that can burn it.
Saunders. Boom! Hand. Ramon Saunders connects again from deep. That is his 4th made 3 of the first half.
Saunders spent that time a hand in his face. Next shot, no hand in his face. And then at the end of the half, he knocked down a huge 3-ball.
Ramon Saunders burying that one at the end of the first half. He had 4 3-point field goals in the first half with 18. His career high is 24. So certainly closing in on that. You can see St. Francis, maybe the message in the locker room, get a little more aggressive, drive to the hoop, get contact, but this one going the other way.
You know, but I feel from Wagner right now that they are coming out of the locker room, smell a little blood in the water. I think they're going to try to deliver the roundhouse punch here early in this half. They came out with a lot of energy defensively. See if they can execute offensively now. And number 11, Saunders, see if he can get a look.
Sumbry showing a little offensive game. Conference is leading block shot artist, but here, a nice move off the glass.
If they get that out of A.J. Sumbry on a consistent basis, Wagner will win the Northeast Conference.
Gaskins to Casamas, but a nice poke out by Ramon Saunders. Then he'll stay here with 9 on the shot clock. Again, St. Francis averaging 82 points a game. Highest scoring offense in the Northeast Conference, but right now it's advantage defense. 4 on the shot clock. Here's Braxton. 1 on the shot clock. Can't get it off. Thought he was fouled, but wouldn't matter. Shot clock violation.
I think that needs to be a rule change. We just saw Wagner play great defense. They basically forced a turnover with the no shot, and the official blows the whistle when Wagner had possession. I think Wagner needs to get the benefit of that possession and attack the basket as if it were a turnover.
Yeah, especially if it's a loose ball, no one has possession yet. Wait and see if St. Francis comes up with it, but I'm with you. poked out. Again, 15-point lead here for Wagner.
So shot clock's running down. Watch the on-ball defense. These guys, look how they all react together. And then it gets down to 0. It's obviously Wagner has the basketball. I think we'll allow the officials to have good common sense judgment and allow that play to continue.
Little continuation even on the shot clock violation. They would have a 3-on-0.
Yep.
Looked like at that point.
Great defense needs to be rewarded. And the way that rule is enforced today, it doesn't reward great defense.
Casavas, the big man, with the left hand in the lane.
So adjustments early for St. Francis and Rob Primmel. You see right now the red flash getting into gaps, a much more aggressive off the dribble here to start the second half.
Good defense showing here by the red flash. Here's Saunders, nearly picking up where he left off. Can't hit on that 3. He's got 18 here in the early goings.
Keith Braxton had a hand in his face. That's critical against Ramon Saunders.
Casavas. Nice defense by Sumbry. King high off the glass. Casavas gets that one to go. But we'll see if they count it.
Yeah, no basket.
Nope.
Well, the foul on A.J. Sumbry, I didn't see where the physical contact was there. And Sumbry usually does a really good job. Great shot blockers separate from the offensive player and then wait for the ball to go up and then show patience and go get it. I thought that's what A.J. Sumbry just did.
And that is 3 on A.J. Sumbry. The conference leader in blocked shots. Had a big one earlier in that first half, but with 3 fouls now, he will sit. And Jamal King also has 3 fouls at the free throw line. 3 fouls for St. Francis. So that's something to keep an eye on. And Coach Grimmel has kept an eye on it. And King will sit the bench. And here comes Malik Harmon.
Well, A.J. Sumbry, you can change the way you play defense when you have a shot eraser behind you. You can take more chances. You can go after steals. You can allow some dribble penetration on occasion because you're ball pressuring so hard. With Sumbry out, that changes the game.
JoJo Cooper, acrobatic move, but gets the foul. Casavas can't believe it. JoJo Cooper coming off back-to-back double-doubles here, showing some aggression, but Casavas gets called for the foul.
And the reason for that foul, different than Sumbry. Sumbry kept his hands up in the air but was called for the foul. That time Casavas brought that left hand down. That's what caused the contact up top. Casavas will take a break and Mark Flagg will come in.
And for Casavas, that is personal foul number 3 as he gets a little talking to from Rob Primmel, showing him the premise of verticality.
The premise of verticality.
Yeah,
you have brought your A game, man. I'm
had a
impressed.
lot of time on the flight.
Yeah.
Like the word premise, decided to go with it.
Yeah, you've been working on your vocab since last time I saw you. Well done.
That should satisfy the quota here for the game. Nice bucket there from Gaskins on the baseline.
When do you hear premise and shizzle on the same broadcast?
Mark it down. Send it to the Broadcasting Institute. Saunders.
Mismatch. Cooper knows it.
Cooper trying to hand that one off, but it's Gaskins who gets it going the other way. 3 ball. Harmon. And here's Wagner pushing. Cooper with a nice dish to Saunders.
JoJo Cooper sees everything.
Great hustle. Freeman on the deck. Cooper. Francis no. Saunders no. Here's Wolford. The rare miss on the 3. We got a foul on the floor. Little up and down action here. between the Flash and the Seahawks. But right now, it's advantage. Good matchups coming up on Saturday across networks, including Trae Young and Colin Sexton, Oklahoma and Alabama. That's a premier matchup with two of the best point guards in all the league.
Both of them freshmen, both of them special. Both can score. Of course, Trae Young can take over a game by himself, as he showed against Kansas in a huge win versus the Sooners. And Colin Sexton, one of the most dynamic up-and-down players in the 94-foot situation in America, if not the best.
And Texas A&M, by the way, they got Kansas tomorrow. Texas A&M has lost 33 straight games against AP top 5 teams. 1-41 all time. They've dealt with some injuries this year as well, as they're back to full health. And Kansas, again, looking for another Big 12 title. It would be their 14th straight. But a lot of teams at the top gunning for them.
Texas A&M reeling after a really fast start. KU's Malik Newman. And he's been a 20-point dude here lately, shooting almost 40% from 3. He's the X factor for KU in that game.
Harmon, no, and then a foul on the floor. And you see some of the jeering/cheering from the student section here in St. Francis, as things are evening out a little bit more, much to their liking.
Well, I think the reason for it really is that St. Francis has been a lot more aggressive off the dribble. They're attacking. Remember when the ball stalled? This team's moving the ball better and attacking off the dribble a lot better.
Hard to draw fouls when you're camping outside the three-point line. But this one going the other way.
Now Mark Flagg caught with being a little bit too aggressive physically down on the low block. A freshman mistake right there.
Closing in on the 15-minute mark here in the second half. These two teams, St. Francis and Wagner, picked in the preseason to finish first and second in the league. Right now, Wagner leads the Northeast Conference race, tied with Robert Morris. St. Francis sitting in third. We got a foul going the other way.
Well, that's the end where St. Francis has to show the most improvement, as Wagner shot 57% in the first half and nearly 54% from 3. St. Francis is going to win this game. They've got to play stingier defense. They just did on that possession.
That one on JoJo Cooper, who is trying to fire himself out. Little words for the official as well. Flagg with the strong move and gets the roll.
I like that. That is smart basketball by Rob Krimmel and the St. Francis Red Flash.
Right now you got number 21, Elijah Davis in. Devin Liggins with the ball, number 24. And JoJo Cooper, the great point guard, leading the conference in assists. Coming off back-to-back double-doubles. To the rim, Eli Davis.
Yeah, Wagner is understanding that Mark Flagg cannot guard on the perimeter against the dribble, and they just exposed him on that play. But on the flip side, Flagg is really good down the block. And I think St. Francis needs to continue to get big number 42, the basketball. They're looking for him again. Get it to him. Get it to him.
Right there on the block. Working on Eli Davis, the face-up, the back down. Gaskins off the kick-out.
Inside-out basketball. That's what's working for St. Francis. And Mark Flagg is the key component offensively, the freshman for St. Francis.
Again, had 18 points the last time these two teams met, 15 in the second half.
Let's see if Wagner tries to pick on him again off dribble penetration. There they go. They get the switch. They go right at him.
Saunders. And one. Ramon Saunders has 22 here in this game, 2 shy of his career high.
It's interesting to see. There you see number 42, Mark Flagg, matched up with JoJo Cooper, and Cooper just puts his shoulder down and goes right to the rim. They're now waiting for whatever switch they find for number 42, and they are going right at him off the dribble.
And how quiet, too, in this game has Keith Braxton been. He was the NEC Rookie of the Year a season ago. One of the best all-around players to come through here at St. Francis. having an outstanding sophomore year, but just 9 points here so far. And what a nice dish from Harmon to the aforementioned Braxton.
That's where St. Francis needs to live, on the block between Flagg and Braxton, and pound the ball in the paint.
Braxton now 3 of 8 with 11 points. Francis misfires. Saunders does not. Saunders now with his career high.
He doesn't miss very often, does he, when he gets it going? So let's see if St. Francis will pound it in the paint again.
Wolford was calling for it in the corner. Braxton, little out of control. Here's Wagner pushing. JoJo Cooper. The feed. The bucket. Devin Liggins for 2.
Every time you think St. Francis is going to get back in this thing, Wagner's toughness shows up again.
Coach Mason saying everything's just been clicking. They've won 5 of their last 6. They're clicking defensively, getting in the flow offensively. And when they're on, they are a tough team to beat. 15-point lead feels like a 25-point lead with this defense. Braxton way off, and Flagg knocks that one out of bounds. JoJo Cooper leads the conference in assists, and here leading the break.
He's so good in the 94-foot. Look how low he gets. He gets low.
Page from your playbook,
yeah.
But take the shirt off, wave it around.
Nice pecs, but I would ask Coach Mason not to strip after if they happen to win this game.
No.
I'd like him to keep his coat and shirt on. It'd just be a respectful request.
He's got multiple layers. I don't think he'll have to. Suits are much more challenging to remove. Wagner with a 15-point lead. Talking to Bashir Mason, saying he has changed his coaching style over the last year. That's an illegal screen there on Elijah Davis. That is his second. But Bashir Mason said he used to wear a Fitbit even last year and tried to get 10,000 steps. He had that usually by halftime. And he said he just decided to change. He said losing felt like death, winning felt like relief, and he wanted that to change. So he does a lot less yelling, walking around, court stomping, and you've seen him kind of serene here on the sideline.
You know, every coach that's gone through it, we all understand that when the proposition becomes losing is like death and winning is only relief, then you got to really evaluate where you're at as a coach and why you're coaching. And listen, I went through it. I plead guilty. But if you're coaching and winning is relief and losing is death, you got to really look at yourself in the mirror and start understanding why you're coaching college basketball, to help young men to grow, to become better fathers, better brothers, better husbands, to become better academicians, to get to their degrees. I think that's one of the ingredients that's missing today in college basketball. The coaches have lost their way of being mentors, teachers first.
Yeah, it's about escaping the defeat and not enjoying the wins. And Bashir said, look, I want to start enjoying winning again. And he's felt like he's done that here this year. And to have that perspective when you're, 33 years old? That's pretty good when you're young in your career.
I think when you feel that way, Matt, it's more about you than it is about the team. It's got to be about the young men and women on your team.
And a nice play there, and a much-needed one from Jamal King, who will go to the line to try and complete the three-point play. They need more of this.
Yeah, they need more of this and more belief from Jay Money, and that'll start the belief right there. Good finish inside Jamal King. You know, he's been a guy that's been able to get into a gap, but A.J. Sunbury has always been there to meet him. But Sunbury in foul trouble, now not available defensively.
And King hits that one. Again, you mentioned believe. That's Jordan McClure, who joined us courtside earlier in the first half. He said, yeah, this team needs a little more belief because they were down then, they're down now. Free throw and three-point play like that can do a lot.
Wants to be a bioengineer to build limbs for people who don't have use of their limbs. What a tremendous goal.
That's a pretty big field goal there for Blake Francis. 7th ranked West Virginia in Morgantown. All 3 games also available on the ESPN app. And again, College Game Day will be there with Reese, Jay Will, Coach Seth Greenberg, and Jay Billis as well.
That'll be a fun time in Morgantown. And right now, Wagner's having a fun time in Loretto, Pennsylvania.
And look at those standings. And Wagner looking for the season sweep of this regular season series for the first time in 4 years. And if you're St. Francis and you lose this one, so you lose the tiebreaker, again, it's the higher seed that will host in each matchup in the conference tournament. 8 of the 10 teams make it, and they're all seeded. And right now, Wagner gunning for a 1 seed. Blake Francis for 3.
Well, how big of a game, if Wagner can hold on here, is the game this weekend with Robert Morris. Robert Morris, the 3rd least experienced team in America. But a junior guard and a sophomore guard, McConnell and Burke, both those dudes can play. In fact, this conference has a history of inexperienced teams winning the championship. Fairleigh Dickinson did it a couple years ago with the 3rd least experienced roster in the country.
And Wagner with a half dozen new faces here. And talking with JoJo Cooper today, he's trying it on the court, off the floor. They've been bonding, and it's showing the chemistry, the connection, the connectivity between these two, these players here on the floor for Wagner has been incredible to see here in Loretto.
Well, there's that young Fairleigh Dickinson team back in 2016. Of course, Mount St. Mary's last year. And Robert Morris making another run this year.
And the 3 ball, no good from Scott Meredith, who has now checked in, and that'll stay here with St. Francis.
Whenever I think of Robert Morris, I think of the NIT several years back when they
Against
knocked off Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know?
The storylines going into that game. When do you get Kentucky on your home campus if you're Robert Morris? The answer is never.
Never. It'll never happen again unless it's the NIT and Rupp Arena is filled up with ice skaters or something.
Keith Braxton's going to go to the line. And Keith Braxton, who's had a quiet double-digit outing here today.
Have you ever been to West Virginia for a game?
I have. Growing up, I've been to Morgantown for a game. It was probably 27, 28 years ago when I lived in Western Maryland.
Can you imagine how nutty that place is going to be with Kentucky coming to town? I mean, listen, in the media, we talk a lot about Kentucky, and for really good reason. They have really good teams. Everybody talks about how good the SEC is this year. It's improved. You know what? I'd argue the point that the SEC, the middle is improved, but the top is not. Kentucky's not what Kentucky has been. They're young. They don't defend as well. There's some holes in that lineup because of inexperience. And they're going to go in and play Bob Huggins, Javon Carter, and those men at West Virginia. Holy cow, is that going to be wild.
It's going to be interesting to see and see some of these teams separate from themselves. By the way, Jamal King has picked up his 4th personal foul as you look at some of these matchups. And TCU, who had some tight, devastating losses there early on in conference play. Arkansas has got some senior guards there. They're trying to still put it together.
And Florida Baylor, another interesting matchup there. Of course, Florida was a top 10 team early in the season, lost their defensive mojo a little bit. But now they've knocked off Kentucky, Arkansas, and Missouri. Seem to be back on track. This is a team that went the Elite 8 last year with most of the same guys. Florida's a dangerous basketball team.
How about Ramon Saunders being a dangerous basketball player? He's got 28. His season average is a shade over 11, and he's got a new career high, and this one going the other way on St. Francis and Mark Flagg. Everything working right now for Bashir Mason's Wagner, and he missed the first 8 games of this season with an MCL injury, so they've been trying to work him back. I think it's safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's 100%?
I think he's 100%.
If not, that's even more scary for the rest of the NEC. As Ramon Saunders has 28 points. Again, a new career high.
He's done it when he's open. He's done it with a hand in his face. He's done it off the dribble drive.
A nice dish there, and just adding to the new career high, updating the media guide with every bucket. He's got 30 for Wagner.
Boy, every time Rob Krimmel goes into his bag of tricks, Wagner has an answer. Just so well prepared.
Andre Wolford's been very quiet.
Well, credit Wagner's defense.
Yeah.
They've just been stellar. I mean, it has been an absolute defensive clinic on this end.
Braxton, quiet as well, although he's in double digits. Braxton and Wolford not being able to get into any sort of rhythm. The same with this offense as a whole. And as you said, this Wagner defense, the best in the Northeast Conference, is a big reason why.
Wagner going to Robert Morris next. As a conference, you can't ask for a better matchup in late January than that. Robert Morris at home against Wagner. There'll be some fans in the seats for that one in Pittsburgh.
And Wagner had that 13-point win against Robert Morris 6 days ago. And you think about sweeping the regular season series from St. Francis and then doing the same potentially to Robert Morris. You talk about being in the driver's seat for that one seed in that conference tournament, which means you will host as long as you win in that conference tournament.
You start running away and hiding at that point. Cincinnati getting close to doing that now in the American. Undefeated Mick Cronin's bunch, who I think is a Final Four team. Of course, Wichita State with a couple losses. Houston also an NCAA tournament team, I believe, with 2 losses with their win over Arkansas, their win over Providence, and now their win over Wichita State. But Cincinnati now getting some separation in the American. Gary Clark is as good as they get, as a person and as an all-around player. And Jacob Evans, there's no Batman or Robin. There's 2 Batmans on that team. They're really good.
Mick Cronin, one of those coaches that is an acquired taste if you're a player. Takes a little getting used to, but boy, can he coach.
And guys stay there.
Yep.
When do you see transfers coming out of Cincinnati?
Malik Harmon for 3, trying to put a little juice into this DeGaulle Arena. It's a 20-point deficit. Francis with the dish. Summery the miss, but again, an offensive rebound here for Wagner, and they will reset. Those are devastating.
It is, and that's what it's been all night long, and it has been quiet in this building. I mean, this was a town that was ready to erupt here this evening, excited for ESPNU to be here for the first time, 25 years for a home game? And another offensive rebound.
Just again and again, and it will stay Wagner basketball. Yeah, this is a Wagner team that they get that 1 seed and get to an NCAA tournament, and if they play like this, they're going to be hard to beat. They haven't been to the tournament since 2003, and another 3. Francis with the long bomb. How about a third chance point?
With Ramon Saunders, with Blake Francis, and the way they can shoot the 3-ball, you've got to extend your defense. It gives their offense a lot of space to work and dribble drive for JoJo Cooper. There'll be a hard matchup if they can get out of this conference, and there's no guarantees.
Wagner looking for their 4th win of the season away from the Spiro Center. And you look at that defense and what they're forcing St. Francis to do. Look at some of these percentages here. What they did against Robert Morris forced Robert Morris shooting worse than 25% from the floor in that game.
And they rebounded so well. They block shots so well. They're number 1 in block shots in the conference. They're number 1 in offensive rebounds in the conference. They intimidate you inside, and they wear you down with high-quality ball pressure and defensive footwork on the perimeter. And I've seen once or twice where they've been out of position defensively. It just doesn't happen. A very disciplined defensive basketball team. Those are the types of teams that can travel and win in the tournament.
Way tough, Francis. Wow. And looking at Blake Francis, he's a little impressed with himself as well, as is the bench. 26-point lead on the road. You'd think they're down by 26.
Yeah, they are putting pedal to the metal right now. This is getting ugly. What an effort by Wagner.
And a timeout for Rob Krimmel, as Wagner has blown this one wide open.
Blake Francis from deep. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this.
Francis, number 3, who did not play in the last matchup. And he's making up for that here. 6 made threes. He's got 22 points. Ramon Saunders has 30 points. Think about this. Wagner has 12 made three-pointers. St. Francis has 17 made field goals.
Yeah. That's the type of defensive clinic that Wagner has put on here tonight. And it started out this way and never changed. Wagner just kept hammering away.
Yeah, Bashir Mason wants a timeout here. And subbing Tyler Plummer, who's coming in. The Red Flash will be fortunate to get to 65 here in this game.
Well, we talked about it. If St. Francis could play in the 80s, they'd have a chance to win. But if they're down in the 60s, they don't have a chance to win.
JoJo Cooper, by the way, coming off back-to-back double-doubles. He's got 10 points and 8 assists, although I believe his day is done here for St. Francis.
Yeah, at this point, you just don't want anybody to get hurt.
A lot of the subs in for both teams. The number 5, Daniel Wallace, in for St. Francis. Marcus Valian, the freshman, number 0 for St. Francis, getting some quality minutes. Deion Baker. Quality meaning quantity minutes. Trying to get him a few here at the end of a conference game. Yeah, this was a game just about a week and a half ago where St. Francis led by 7 at the half. And Wagner scored 20 consecutive points at one time in the second half. St. Francis lost that one by 9, and they are on the verge of getting swept in the regular season by Wagner and the Seahawks. Not to be all alone in first place in the Northeast Conference. A.J. Sumbry.
You know, Matt, this is the time of year when we start, not that I don't pay attention to Joe Lenardi. Okay? I do all the time.
Yeah,
but
sure, you're a company man. You're a company man.
In particular now, start paying attention to him. And what's interesting about the NCAA tournament this year is how we're dealing with the different quadrants. And so, while everybody's talking about RPIs, that's antiquated viewpoint of what it takes to get the NCAA tournament. It's about how well you do at home against 1 through 30 in the aggregate computer rankings of 6 different evaluations. And you take the average of that. So I've looked at that this week. It's been really interesting to look at some teams like Nevada, for example. I think Nevada is not only going to be an NCAA tournament team, but I also think they're going to be a pretty good seed team. I think they'll be a top 6 or 7 seed team because they're 5 and 2 in the top 2 quadrants. As you separate out the schedules that way. Nevada's an intriguing team to me.
Got the transfers from NC State, the Twins, they've been terrific.
The former head coach at Wagner, Danny Hurley, and Rhode Island. They're 7-0 in the A-10. Now the Atlantic 10 is down. And likely a one-bid conference if Rhode Island wins the Atlantic 10 tournament. But this is also a team that's 4 and 3 in quadrant 1 and 2 combined. 15 and 3 overall, and their average computer ranking combined is 23.5. When you're starting to look at a pretty good seed for Danny Hurley's bunch in that situation.
Get a new way to reward teams for, look, is it tougher to win at home against the 50th ranked team or on the road against the 75th in terms of strength of opponent?
I like the way they've broken it down, where quadrant one is home wins against 1 through 30, neutral versus 1 through 50, and away 1 through 75. I like that. But the problem is, how do you get access to those games? That's the real issue.
Yeah, we see it across sports. How do you increase your conference schedule and get those types of games, those non-conference schedule, I should say?
And if you're in the budget situation of everybody in the Northeast Conference and the large majority of conferences across the country, you can't buy those home games. It's just that simple.
Well, you catch SportsCenter tonight on ESPN with Stan and Neil. They'll show you how the Cavs' new starting lineup did against the Pacers. Plus, I love it, the beard takes on Boogie and the Brow.
That
sounds like a band in New Orleans. And a breakdown of Tigers' second round at Torrey Pines with post-round reaction as well. All this and more on SportsCenter after the X Games on ESPN and the ESPN app. And seeing some guys that you don't normally see here for this team being able to get on the floor. Number 20, Dan Henry, the freshman out of Hamburg, New York, in there. Freeman with the dish. Shaq Scott will go to the line. So if you're Rob Krimmel, you got 61 points, and you're going to lose this game by at least 20, 25 points. He's putting on his jacket. He's trying to forget about this, but how do you use this game? Do you flush it, or do you watch it? Do you digest it? What do you do?
I think in this case, where they lost at Wagner, they come home, didn't play well here today. I think you put it in the rearview mirror and you move on to the next one. And you start building on that next opportunity and building the belief in your locker room along with the preparation. I watched this team practice yesterday. I thought they were well prepared. They did a nice job in the breakdown on the video. Wagner was just simply better from the opening tip to the ending buzzer here tonight.
Kept St. Francis out of rhythm offensively. Unable to get quality looks. And they are blowing out St. Francis here in Loretto.
Really impressive. And I can't wait to see Robert Morris and Wagner go after each other this weekend. That's going to be a heck of a game for the Northeast Conference.
Wagner with their second highest point output of the season. They had 107 earlier this season, but here they hit 91.
And win by 30. We didn't expect this.
And little embrace there from Bashir Mason and Rob Krimmel. But it is advantage Mason, advantage Wagner in a big way. A 30-point dismantling